Good. So just tell me what you do for a living.
I teach for a living. I teach the honors English classes. I teach freshmen. I teach the journalism class, and this year for the first time I teach the creative writing class.
Okay. Have you always wanted to be a teacher?
Not really. I mean, it was one of those things where probably looking back in maybe high school or middle school, I probably always thought it'd be cool, but I never really thought about becoming one until after I graduated college. I didn't know what I was going to do. Actually, I was an English and a political science major, and then I started working in like public relations and marketing, and like doing writing. And while I was doing that, I was doing some coaching, like some basketball coaching with like little kids, and just kind of thinking about what was going on in my life. And I happened to work I worked at a university. I worked at Duquesne University doing that, and so that gave me the opportunity to go back and do some coursework. And so I got my teaching certificate and my master's there. So it was kind of a fortunate situation, but I love it.
Yeah.
I'm happy I did.
So you're glad you became a teacher?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I like having the perspective of having worked in somewhat of like a, I don't know, like a real world or whatever you would call it for a few years. I think for 4 years, and it's I think teaching it's a lot more rewarding than anything I was doing before that. So yeah, I feel like I made the right choice.
What's your favorite thing about teaching, like English and journalism specifically?
I love writing. I like teaching writing. I like reading like other like kids writing. So journalism is a good opportunity for that. I tried. That's probably more of my focus in English classes as well. More like reading writing as opposed to like reading stories, if that makes sense. Kind of like trying to think about why things are written the way they are. With journalism, it's been a interest of mine for a while. Like that's when I was an English major, that was kind of my focus as well, like journalism and getting to write a bit for like the school newspaper in college, and even doing like public relations. I've always been interested in like the news and just that aspect of a thing. So getting the opportunity to teach it, I just really enjoy it. I think it's even though people say like newspapers and things like that are dying, I think journalism itself is probably more important than anything, because I think it matters now more than it ever did. Like understanding who is telling the story and whether or not to trust and believe that source, and just telling stories in different ways. There's so many other opportunities and ways of telling stories these days, like digital storytelling, podcasts, just the written word, of course, still. So I'm kind of fascinated by all that.
And it doesn't matter what source it is, like technology-wise, which way you're writing. You have a favorite like medium for writing?
I always do like. I mean, they're all different. I still like the kind of the printed word, which is funny because I probably, like in terms of my news, I probably get more of that. I read online newspapers, way more than I read print newspapers, but I guess so that kind of counts as well. But I just saying it depends. I mean, I personally listen to a lot of like podcasts as well. I just think it's a neat way of telling a story. It's just what we just had. My journalism kids just did their first podcast, and I told them, it's the same as like reporting and researching. I mean, you still got to put all that work into it. You can't just sit down and talk, but it's just a different way of telling a story. It's more conversational, but I don't know, maybe because I grew up with the printed word a bit more, I still kind of lean a bit more towards that.
And you said it's rewarding to be a teacher. More specifically, what do you like about it?
I mean, I do like the relationships that are built. I like the the satisfaction when someone hopefully enjoys what we're doing. I kind of like seeing that happen. Just working with someone to solve kind of a problem, and knowing that there's the reward is someone hopefully learning something. That to me is a lot more rewarding than you know, like I said, when I worked in like public relations, like, you know, the reward might be like a brochure being printed, or you know, and there's like benefits to that. You know, someone learns a bit more about like a department or a class or something like that. But to me, it's a little. I like that reward a little bit
Yeah.
better.
And then with journalism, is there a specific type of media reporting that you prefer, like entertainment or news or sports?
I prefer sports. I just got my interest in sports. That's probably what I read a lot more of. I read a little bit of more like news and then political reporting as well. But you know, it's probably the first thing I always look at is sports.
Yeah.
Sports reporting. Although I try to read a lot of local stuff too. You know, so like in the community, things like that.
And you still coach the boys volleyball team?
I do not.
You don't?
I don't. No, this is my. I coached for 10 years, and this is my second year that I haven't.
Wow.
I just wasn't able to do it
Yeah.
anymore.
Okay. I guess just one last thing is you wanted to give advice to anyone who was thinking about pursuing something in journalism or in teaching. What would you say to them?
I'd say definitely do it. I mean, I think in a lot of ways it's. I mean, like I said, to me it's personally rewarding. I think it's as much about building relationships as anything too. I mean, I think with journalism, that's a big part of it. It's kind of knowing who to talk to and actually talking to them. You know, that's one of the things that is probably my biggest challenge with my students today is getting them to kind of branch out a bit and talk to people rather than just kind of maybe using the internet to find information. You know, what I kind of stress to them is that, you know, that's already out there. That's already being told. You know, you try to offer something new. So, you know, no matter the technology or whatever comes about, ultimately it's really about kind of you and us talking and communicating and interacting and kind of stepping out in that way. And the same with teaching. I mean, I don't and I don't think remember, you know, all the things I taught as much as I'll remember, you know, the students and hopefully some positive relationships that came from some of that. So yeah, it's definitely about hopefully being interpersonable.
Okay. Okay. That's good.